Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Iran against Ukraine. Last rocket ship. Anniversary of the fall of Mariupol. 2 Russian records in Ukraine. Powerful hit in Lugansk. nVidia and Sony technologies in Russian army. Everyone has already heard the news from Iran. The president of the country and the Minister of Foreign Affairs died there in a helicopter crash. I won't go into details, major media have already covered this topic, but I want to add my impression of what it looks like for a person from Ukraine. As you know, Iran became Russia's second accomplice in the bloody war against Ukraine after Belarus. The Iranian government, led by President Raisi, who died a day ago, is supplying Putin with thousands of deadly Shahed drones and missiles that are mostly killing our civilians and destroying our homes. For 2 years now, Iranian arms manufacturers have simply been making money off the death of people in another country. This is nothing new, but it's frankly cynical to supply weapons to attack peaceful cities. A person who has not heard the sound of a Shahed drone at night will not understand those who know what the explosions sound like. I want to remind you another case. 2 years before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, something terrible happened. In Iran, air defense shot down a civilian airliner from Ukraine which was taken off from Tehran airport and flying to Kyiv. 176 people died. I learned about this from the news, but also from my friends, civil aviation pilots community, who were shocked by what happened. All pilots are one big family, and my entire Facebook news turned into a necrologue. Some of the Iranian officials apologized as if this would bring back the dead, but as far as I know, they did not pay any compensation to the families. The Ukrainian government paid $8,000 to each family. Can we say that the helicopter crash in which the Iranian president died is a karma? I don't know, but I don't recommend flying over Iran at any time. I will attach a link to a Reuters article about this disaster which gives more details. The last Russian missile ship was destroyed in the Bay of Sevastopol at night. According to reports from both Russian and Ukrainian sides, the small missile ship Cyclone, sounds better than Kovrovets, yeah, was hit by several ATACMS missiles. At the same time, 6 military personnel were killed and 11 were injured. The ship sank successfully. In the photo you see what it looked like. By the way, Russians launched it after the start of a full-scale war. The service was short. Imagine how hard you had to try to lose most of your combat fleet in a land war against a country that practically doesn't have own fleet at the moment. Oh yeah, they also lost a submarine. Today, May 20, marks the second anniversary of the surrendering of the last Ukrainian defenders of Azovstal into Russian captivity. This is a tragic date for many reasons. Firstly, because May 20 can be considered the date of the complete occupation of Mariupol. Officially, there are no more of our military left there, and the city has come under the control of Russia and bandits from the so-called DPR. Secondly, because the garrison of Mariupol, which heroically held the defense against superior enemy forces for almost 3 months, was captured, and in agreement, after 4 months all prisoners would be exchanged. 2 months later, on the 29th of July, Russians blew up a barracks from the inside, in which captured Azov fighters were kept. In the middle of the night, an explosion of thermobaric ammunition occurred inside the barracks. More than 50 people were killed and more than 70 were injured. Personally, I knew at least 3 who were there and who carried out wounded and dead, as well as many relatives of those who lost their loved ones in this terrorist attack or are still waiting for their return from Russian captivity. More than 1,000 Azovstal defenders are still in captivity, and we need to bring everyone home. The main problem is that neither the International Red Cross nor the Human Rights Committee nor the UN can or will not force Russians to return our prisoners, and of course, Russians do not allow anyone to investigate what happened. But they let that clown Steven Seagal in there for some reason. The Russian version is, these bloodthirsty Ukrainians killed their own soldiers who were in captivity. You shouldn't look for logic in Russian versions, they live in a different dimension. May 20, now these days on the list of those that I don't want to live through. Damn, Putin brought mourning to many families on this day, and it will stay with us forever. Under this video, I will leave a link to the full investigation of this terrorist attack in Olenivka in English for your convenience. Based on the results of the last week, Russians set 2 important records in Ukraine. The first record is the number of soldiers lost. This includes both dead and wounded, who can be considered irretrievable losses, amputations, severe injuries, and many of these will not make it to the hospital. The approximate number is 9,660 people. All these people could live their normal lives at home, but they went to a foreign country to rob and kill. This will be the hard lesson for them, their families, and the future generations. The second record is the number of destroyed Russian operational tactical drones. It can be assumed that our developers will improve electronic warfare systems and manufacturers will increase their number. I often see FPV drones and short-range electronic warfare equipment among those for which volunteers raise money. I hope these numbers will grow. Something big flew into the occupied Ukrainian city of Lugansk right at the building of the former Academy of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Since the start of the war in 2014, Russian troops have been based here and believed they were all safe. After 10 years, karma caught up with the invaders. Let this be a good reminder to everyone who believes that you can freely take away other people's houses and lands. I say this as a person who lost home and loved ones in Mariupol. Every time I see how the occupiers rejoice at the apartments they bought for pennies and hope that they can now live on the coast of my Azov Sea, I make a donation so that this will never work out for them. I want to add a link to an important investigation from the Inform Napalm Group. It concerns use of the foreign technologies in Russian military industry. Since I don't know much about this, I won't pretend to be a pseudo-expert, but I will simply leave a link to a detailed investigation in English. In short, it mentions brands such as nVidia, Sony, and Japanese company Saito, whose technologies are still actively used in production of Russian military-industrial complex. That's it for today. I didn't tell you about some international news dedicated to Ukraine and about the news about the mobilization process and a mobile app to not waste your time. It's all in the big media already. The situation in Vovchansk and the northern border is tense, but without any significant changes, so I won't be covering it for today. We also had 2 air raids in Kyiv today with no documented damage. This was my update on Russian-Ukrainian war for the day number 817. Thank you for your support and take care.